I have to say it. I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. What?
How could you not predict at least 10 to 13 wins for next season is all I'm saying. But again,
Jesus Christ, 13 wins.
I said
you want an opportunity to play, and the Jets are giving me an opportunity to play.
I'm sorry. I just remember that you compared Gesicki to Kelsey. I'm sorry.
I did not. You know what?
About it, I am ready to get hurt again.
How sweet it is that I don't get to feel pain for another 6 months. Danny, welcome to episode 20 of the Better Fins Fans podcast. How the hell are you doing today, sir?
I'm pretty good. Since the last time we spoke, last time we recorded, there were 2 AFC East teams still in the playoffs. Now there are none.
Yep.
So it makes me feel a little better about myself because, misery loves company.
Well, I agree. And then for us, and we're going to spend just a few moments on it. It happened 2 weeks ago. We gave the Bills a fight for the life to try to, keep us out of moving on to the next round. And so for me to take that as the final thing that I take into the offseason, I'm pretty happy with it. But nonetheless, we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about today. But we have a guest with us today. And Danny, you may not have seen such action films that he's been in. I myself have been there. I've been in the background sometimes too. And he's a dear friend to the heart, known him for many, many years. Mr. Juan Largo, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
No doubt, sir. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream. It's another boring 6 months for me before I get any meaningful sports to watch. Like the Miami Dolphins is the only sport I watch, so it's a very boring 6 months. It's going to be a lot of TV binge watching coming up. But before we get started and start talking about these Miami Dolphins, I have one question for you, and we'll spend only this moment on it. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Most famous person you've acted with. That's all I want to know. Most famous person you've acted with. That's all I want to know. And there's levels to it because as guys, we're all going to find somebody that's more famous to us. But in your eyes, who's been the most famous person you've acted with?
Oh my God.
Oof. I put him on the spot. And we're gonna tag him on this show, so we're gonna put him on the spot right now.
There's a couple of them. I would probably say my two top favorites is probably Angela White and Luna Starr.
Okay, those are two pretty great ones. Danny, any questions regarding his acting career before we move forward?
No, sir. My wife watches this show, sir.
He's like, what acting? By the way, Juan Largo, besides being a huge Dolphins fan, master electrician as well.
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, there's actually, if you're in the South Florida area and you need any electrician, you'd be willing to help people out, right?
Yes, of course.
All right. Of course. There you go. We're going to tag him in this video, but let's talk about that last game. And I'll start with you, George, just because, you and I are the biggest Dolphin fans. Leading up to that game, leading up to the Buffalo Bills game in the playoffs, you heard everyone talking about it. Oh, we're going to go up there and we're going to get mollywopped.
Yep.
Before that game started.
Destroyed.
Right. Before that game started, at any point in time, did you have that same feeling?
You know what it is?
Be honest.
I felt like, I don't know why, but we always tend to give competition when we're always the underdogs in the sense that usually every time we're always like they have like zero or chance of winning. We always, if we don't win, we at least come this close
to winning, right?
Usually. I mean, there's been times where, of course, we've been the underdogs and we've lost, but there's been some times where, like, I forgot exactly what year it was, where I think we played the Titans, and we were like favored to win, and we ended up losing that game. They were like 0 something, 11 or something like that, and we ended up losing that game. So it's kind of like a
Dolphin way.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very hurting.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Cowboys, right? Whenever you expect it for them to fold, they're going to find a way to fold. But what I found most exciting was when me, Danny, and Phil recorded right before that game, Danny, I remember you and him saying that it wasn't even going to be a game. We were going to go up there and we were going to get smashed. And if DeMar Hamlin were to show up, we were
don't even play the game.
Right.
Yeah, don't even play the game.
And I said, and you guys were laughing at me throughout the whole game. I was like, I think it's going to be more of a game than what people are leading on.
Well, let's preface that by saying you thought it was going to be that if Tua played. You
Correct.
said if Tua didn't play, things would be different.
Right. I still thought I still thought they would lose, but I think it would have been a closer game if Tua would have played. And by all means, if Tua would have played, we probably would have won the game, George. I'm just throwing that out there.
Agreed 100%.
I don't know. Skylar Thompson played just as good as Tua would have played. That was Skylar Thompson's best.
Shut your mouth.
Oh.
Shut your
That was
mouth.
Skylar Thompson. Yes. Look. No.
Go ahead.
Let's
Go ahead.
have
The
this
floor is yours.
discussion.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Tua, leading up to this, the
Okay.
last 4 games or so that he played like shit. Let's be honest.
He did.
He did.
So
yeah.
I'm not. So and then he had a couple weeks off.
But the last
I'm
time he
not
was
saying
in Buffalo,
I'm
he
not
played
saying
well.
Tua is a bad quarterback. That's not what I'm saying.
I know
What
you're
I'm saying is that coming off of 4 bad games and then a couple weeks off, I feel like he might have been a little rusty. So
Okay.
putting Tua in that position and the fact that Skylar Thompson played a good game, I'm sorry. I saw some of the passes he was completing. Skylar Thompson played a good game. You guys found your backup quarterback for next year.
Oh, fair enough. I like that.
Teddy Bridgewater is not going to be on this team next year. So all I'm saying is that what Skylar Thompson's best is what Tua's average could have been, which was what I was expecting if Tua played.
So a rusty Tua would have been on the same level as Skylar Thompson, what you would have said.
Correct.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm saying is
I agree with that.
I agree.
so
with
that's why I'm saying it's not a shoe-in that if Tua plays, we win. No, I think you got more or less the same production that you would have gotten out of a rusty Tua. That's what I'm saying.
And let's be honest, a lot of Skylar Thompson's supposable bad throws, there was a lot of big drops that game as well. From running backs to Tyreek to Jalen Waddle, there was a lot of big catches they should have caught that they didn't catch. But nonetheless, I did say that I thought it was going to be closer than what you guys thought. So, Danny, I'm coming to you now because you thought it was going to be an onslaught of what the Miami Dolphins were going to get. When you finally got home, because you were on vacation, when you finally got home, you got to watch the game. What were your biggest takeaways from that game?
Unfortunately, when I started watching the game, obviously I already knew the result.
Correct.
But if I would have watched it live and I would have seen that they went up 17-0, I think in my mind, they would have been like, this is over.
We all were.
Because going up, because going up 17-0.
I was
like, fuck.
That easy. I was like, this is over. But then you guys had a drive where I think you converted like third and 18, I want to say. And then you went for it on 4th and 8. And I was like, okay. Again, already knowing the result, it's a lot more difficult. Yeah. But I was kind of like, okay, so this is where things start clicking. And like I said, watching it after I already knew the results, I think my thought process is going to be a little different from you guys because you guys were reacting in real time. But I think they played a pretty good game. I think they stopped the onslaught because I felt like that's where it was going.
Right.
Like that 17-0, they went up and down the field. There was a play there where Josh Allen looked like he fumbled the ball. Mm-hmm. And he was like an incomplete forward pass. I thought it was a fumble. Either way, it went out of bounds. Right. Either way, it went out of bounds. You didn't get the ball, but I was like, okay, look at the Dolphins. You know, they're making some things happen. I was impressed that Skylar Thompson played as well as he did.
Yep.
I don't want to say
I was too.
I don't want to say I was more surprised at how I don't think the Bills played bad, but how they let you guys play so well because your defense, like we've said all along, is
you've said
like shit.
Like you've said all,
or the NFL stats have said that on the road your defense sucks, and they gave up those first 17 points, but you know they turned it on.
They found a way to keep the game close.
They did. Look, they took the lead because of that defensive touchdown to start the third quarter. Yeah. So I give a lot of credit to the defense finally showing up. Of course, they finally show up. Then Josh Boyer gets fired. We'll get into that later. But I think that this was the best possible outcome to end such an odd year, and I mean that as far as like ending in a loss. For you to end in a loss and still end up with like a positive mindset, I think this was like the best case scenario. You know, you guys are thinking to yourselves, if Tua plays, we might win. Of course, that's a positive.
It is.
You guys. Skylar Thompson played well. He took the Bills all the way. Maybe you could have even won if you guys run a play on time. There's so many positives to end the season with, despite a loss, that I think this was like the best case scenario for you guys as far as going into the offseason on a positive vibe.
This is how I felt, George, and I don't know if you felt the same way I did. When that 49ers loss happened earlier in the season, I think it was like the first road game of December, if I'm not mistaken, Danny. Mm-hmm. After that game, I said, that was such a different version of what I saw Tua play. Like I had never seen Tua this season play that bad, but I went away from the game thinking, all right, well, if he doesn't play like that again, we could win the next road game. When that game was over, I didn't feel bad about it. When this Bills game was over, I was like, well, everybody expected us to get slapped. I have nothing to worry about this game because there were so many positives to take away from it. So here's my next question to you. At the end of that game, you saw, as well as the rest of the country saw it, as well Dolphin fans saw. Do you think it was on the head coach, or do you think it was more on Skylar Thompson, the fact that every single time we were getting out of the huddle, we only had like 5 seconds on the play clock to get a snap off? He said, obviously the coach, he said, oh, no, it was on me. I personally think he was taking the high road and protecting Skylar. What do you think?
I think he was protecting Skylar. I think he even though he said, like, he took the blame and everything, and he said, it was on him, it was on him, it was on him. I think that's just the kind of coach that he is. He doesn't like to sit there and point fingers and say, hey, we lost the game because Tyreek missed that catch, or because Waddle missed that catch, or because this person did this. He takes it as he's the head coach. He's the one that, supposed to handle above everything else. And, he takes full responsibility for it. But I definitely think he was protecting Skylar.
Danny,
that's what I think.
Same thought. You have to, like, if it was the Jets game and you guys are in the same position and Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco or Mike White, every single time you get to the line, there's only less than 5 seconds to snap that ball. Yeah. You're about to kill somebody, right? Because we were feeling like we lost that game because of how bad they were coming out of the huddle.
But, okay, my question to you is, obviously, I didn't watch this game live, so I got to skip through some parts.
Yeah.
Was that the first delay of game?
No, we had like 4 just in the fourth quarter.
Because that I didn't know, because when you watch the game sped up, they don't show all of those.
Right. There was 4, and there was 2 there were 2 that weren't called because he hiked it exactly at 0. But he literally got to that offensive line with 6 to 5 seconds left.
The one that I watched was obviously the one that changed the game, right?
Yeah.
Where it went from 4th and 1 to 4th and 6.
Right.
You guys were at midfield, and it looked he was asking for the ball with like 2 seconds left. There was some miscommunication there. Now, I did see in the press conference where Mike McDaniel, I don't know if it was the smartest thing to say, but he said that he didn't realize that it was 4th down.
He thought it was first down. Yeah.
And that reflects really poorly on your head coach to say that. Again, I don't know if maybe to Juan's or George's point. Sorry, I got your names mixed up. To your point,
it's both things.
I know, I saw both. I got confused. To your point, maybe he's trying to protect, Skylar to an extent, but that reflects really poorly when your head coach said that he made such a it's a pivotal game. It's a playoff game. It's 4th quarter, 2 minutes to go, 4th and 1, and you're gonna say that you thought it was first down. Like, man, but even that comes off pretty bad.
Even Sean Payton on the Colin Cowherd show said, this has happened to me before, where it's that close that I'm able to ask the referee for a measurement, and they don't do that now in the NFL. He goes, I know that I've only been out of the game for a year, but he goes, I used to be able to say, hey, if it's close enough, give me a measurement, and they wouldn't give him that measurement. So even he went on to defend that it was close enough to be able to say, all right, maybe it was a first down. But
don't they hold up literal sticks with big ass numbers that say 1?
I agree.
4?
I agree. So I don't know what the miscommunication there was on his part, but that's what I'm saying from a Jet standpoint.
He wears glasses.
What if they're just your fashion? What if they're why you bringing up the glasses out, bro?
That trend ended like 10 years ago. Nobody does that anymore.
Well, listen. One thing that did come out of that show was something that we all kind of wanted, or that episode. I mean, that game was something that we all wanted. We all wanted Josh Boyer to be gone. George, I personally think, and a lot of people don't think this way, I think this way, that the reason that we were so good on defense the final 8 games of the season last year was the fact that Brian Flores went to Josh Boyer and he's like, hey, I'm going to take over the defense. Now, nobody ever is going to know that. That's just my assumption. Of course, reporters will be like, yeah, he took over, but there was nothing ever confirmed. Coming into this season, Danny also expected our defense to play at a much higher level. I expect them to play at a much higher level, and I'm pretty sure you did as well. Do you think Josh Boyer being the scapegoat was the right decision to get him and basically ultimately firing him?
I think yes. I agree. I agree with you on the fact that we played so well defense last year, based on that fact.
Yeah.
With Brian Flores, and the fact that this year we didn't. I should say we didn't. I really didn't see. Instead of improving, we went downwards.
Yeah.
Backwards. Yeah. And to me, I think it was a good decision to get rid of him, in my opinion.
Let me ask you a question. Were you? I think, and maybe this is more of a question, but I think it's more of a point of view, Danny, and I'll shoot it to you. There were so many mistakes on the defense side of the ball that you could technically blame most of it on youth, right? They had a undrafted rookie corner out there. You were basically down to your third safety. Defensive linemen were playing great, but then your linebackers were basically not playing so great the rest of the year. You could blame a lot of that on not having your talent, on youth. But there were plays that they were showing this one after he got fired, where in the Chargers game, we had them on like 3rd and 9 or something to that extent.
Are you going to tell me the one where he played off the ball and he basically gave up the
like 15 yards? Everybody was in the end zone and nobody was on the line. When shit like that happens, you can blame youth all you want. But that's on the coach. I'm sorry. And I think there was plenty to see from Josh Boyer's led defense this year that he wasn't using players the right way. And I personally think he should have been
Xavier Howard took a dip in performance. That's not on him.
Yeah.
Byron Jones injured all year. That's not on him.
Yep.
Emmanuel Akba decides to disappear. That's not on him.
Whoa. He got hurt.
But when he was playing, he wasn't making a difference.
Yeah, shut up.
It's like he wasn't on the field.
I'm giving him the ticket. He was hurt.
Oh, okay. So a lot of it has to do with the players. They weren't performing to, and even with that, did he not help develop Kelekohu?
Yeah, I can say, but that could go to Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain as well. He brought those two guys.
We're gonna get into Sam Madison because Sam Madison, I think, would be a good choice for defensive coordinator. But we'll get into that later.
I agree.
So I think there's some credit for being like, you know what, this kid Kohu, he can fill in the Byron Jones spot, and he's filled it in well.
He did.
On top of that, like we said, the defense is bad on the road, but it's good at home. So maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Like, yeah, I don't think he did a phenomenal job.
No,
but I don't think he did a horrible job either because, like I said, at home you guys were one of the best defenses in the league.
But that goes to the other side of the coin. You also said on the road we were one of the most terrible defenses in the league.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. That makes you middle of the pack. And what I mean by that is it that he's really bad or really good? I think it's neither. He's middle of the pack. Do I think that maybe you want to look for somebody new? Yes. Do I think that he's the worst thing in the absolute world?
No,
I don't. I don't because of the bad health.
Right.
He was dealt a bad hand with the injuries. He did the best he could, and he had them performing at home again, like shit on the road. So again, I don't know. Is he just really bad? Is he really good? I understand that play against the Chargers. That one stands out to me also. I just think he's somewhere in the middle. Definitely think that you guys should be looking for something new.
We never said that he was the worst.
Right. We just think.
No, Manny, you, sir.
I said he was worth getting fired. That's what I said. You can run the tape back. I think he was worth getting fired. Listen, let me ask you a question.
He's like, roll the tape.
Roll the tape. Hit rewind real quick. When you look at this defense, you know the one of the strengths about the New York Jets is you guys don't have to blitz that often, right? I think the type of defense we were running most of the year wasn't beneficial to the players we had. For me,
correct.
If I'm the defensive coordinator, and you said Sam Madison would probably get the option, and you know one of the defenses Sam Madison run was a 4-3 defense for most of his career when he played with the Miami Dolphins. You basically had Trace Armstrong, Jason Taylor, Tim Bowens basically just rushing the quarterback, and Zach Thomas and the boys could just chill back there. When I look at this defense, and I'm not saying we have anybody at the caliber of those players right now, but I think a Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb needs to have their hands on the ground on a 4-3 defense, and all you have to do is rush the quarterback. That's why I'm saying I don't think they were put in a good position. I think Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb's only responsibility be go after the quarterback. I don't care for you to cover running backs. I don't care for you to cover tight ends coming out of the backfield. We'll worry about our linebackers and safeties to do that. What's your opinion on that?
Mine? I think that he kept playing that cover zero crap. And like you said, he didn't have the personnel to do that anymore.
Right.
I think it was the second touchdown. It wasn't the second touchdown, but he went cover zero, and Josh Allen, I think it might have been Stephon Diggs that caught the ball, landed on the 1 yard line.
48-yard bomb that
he sent the house. He left. It might have been Xavier Howard out on an island. Xavier Howard isn't that guy right now. So all I'm saying is, yeah, you're right. He wasn't playing to his team strengths, but I mean, it worked for half the game.
But you got to switch it up at some point, right?
Yeah, he switched it up for the second half of the game, and that's when it started working.
Right, but I'm saying, like, I feel like there could have been more to be done with this defense.
And I don't disagree with you.
All right, George. Sam Madison, you heard the name right there. They got Vic Fangio being talked about. They got the defensive coordinator from the Seattle Seahawks being requested to be interviewed. When you look at the player personnel that we currently have, like we said, we have no Zach Thomases on this team. We have no Junior Seau on this team. Our linebacker core, which I thought Jerome Baker was that guy, he's not that guy. Like,
I thought so too.
I feel like he could be a safety. He's like a safety playing linebacker, because at the end of the day, he can't stop anybody. He's a thumper. I think, Danny, that's all he's good for, to hit people really hard after he gives up a big catch. But I don't think he's that guy. So when you go into this draft coming up, and George, and this is the point to my question is, when you look at the holes that we have to fill, what would be your immediate hole to help this defense out? Because now we're just talking about Josh Boyer. Boom, we get the biggest blame out of the room. But now there's some other holes to fill. What would be your immediate hole to fill?
Ooh, I would definitely say, I don't know if cornerbacks, I would say, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that would be somewhere where we've been slacking, I should say, because and it's not just covering, it's also just tackling.
Yeah,
we've had a lot of.
I think Kader Kohut was like the best corner tackler on our team.
I was just about to say, but he's small, but man, that guy can tackle. He can wrap somebody up.
Yeah,
he if you catch the ball on him, which most of the time they were catching the ball on him, he would wrap you up right away. So yes, he was giving up the catch, but he was tackling you right away.
Right, and that's one of the biggest things. Is okay, you get beat and they catch the ball. Let's say whatever, it was a good throw, they catch the ball, but right away you got to jump on them and wrap them up and bring them down right away, wherever that catch is, whether it's 5 yards or it's 20 yards down the field. But some like sometimes they've gotten the catch and it's like, I mean, it's just like breaking tackles after tackles, and it's like, oh my God, are you serious? Like
that's how I felt during the Buffalo game. I feel like they would do simple dump offs to the running back, and then he's breaking 6 tackles down the side of the field.
Like I'm like, I just want to jump on the field and go tackle him myself.
I'll break his knee. It's like, come on, man.
That's when I started liking Kohut, though. When I saw him and a running back would get to the second level, he wasn't scared to get his head in there. And like I said, I was surprised when I first started watching him, noticing him, how small he was. But he's getting his nose dirty. He goes in and he'll take these running backs down. If a tight end catches something across the middle and works it to the outside, he's in the tackle. Yeah. So that's why I really started liking this kid, because this kid he can tackle, and for his size, he covers very well. Also, I think you guys found the gem.
That's how I feel about Nick Needham, but I feel like Nick Needham and him are gonna like basically butt heads, because they could both play the nickel. Like basically Kader Kohut, you put him in a spot where he had to fill in for Byron Jones, right? But technically he's more like a nickel, like covering your running backs out of the backfield, covering your tight ends out of the fucking passing game. But
if you have him at the nickel, you don't have any starting cornerbacks. Xavier Howard.
That's my problem. I don't think Nick Needham is that either.
Howard. No. Xavier Howard's taking that dip. I don't know if it was a 1-year thing, and maybe he'll come back up next year.
I think it is a 1-year thing.
Okay, so if that happens, then maybe you're good at one cornerback. But I don't think Byron Jones comes back to this team next year.
No, I don't. You brought up Sam Madison. Sam Madison was talked about before the Jets game. They're like, any word on Byron Jones, and he basically said, I haven't heard from the guy in weeks. So when your own staff doesn't know where your player is,
that's a problem.
So you got that open slot. Regardless, you need that one. You need one side of the field. And Xavier Howard, you said you think that it's a 1-year thing.
I think it is.
Are you willing to take that risk?
I am.
And not get somebody else? Okay,
I am.
But you're going to pay for that, though.
Yeah,
I know. I understand.
You're paying him already.
But that's we're fanalists. We're here to say stupid opinions, and whether we're right or wrong doesn't matter. So, but what I'm saying is that if you're going to take that risk, right? If the GM takes that risk, that could be pie in your face, because then you could end up with no cornerbacks again, like you did this year.
But if you could dump Byron Jones contract, and even if you do have that dead money, remember when they cut in Ndamukong Suh? You got to cut that dead money just because you need somebody else to fill in there. You could get a young, let's say, project corner coming out of college right now. And by the way, we're probably going to end up with the last pick in the draft just because we have San Francisco's pick. You could probably get a quality corner with the last pick in the first round.
For sure.
Free agency. I'm sure you could sign somebody in free agency after they restructure a bunch of contracts and bring up. So I'm not too worried. I think X did take a year off, but he's only in his sixth year.
They just got DJ Reed on a good deal in free agency. You could find good cornerbacks.
That's my point. I'm not too worried, but I think you do got to cut Byron Jones. But let's talk about the horse in the room here. George, right after the final game of the season against the Buffalo Bills, the GM, the coach, they come down and they have their exit interviews basically with the media. They asked about Tua Tagovailoa, and they said, we have no doubt that Tua is going to be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins next year. Now, you and I, being longtime Dolphin fans, and I'm sure, Danny, you've heard this plenty of times, just because they say that's the case doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the case. So let's start with question number 1 to you, George. Is Tua Tagovailoa the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins next year?
I think not.
Okay.
I think not. I mean, they're gonna try. I think it's all gonna depend on a few factors regarding, this whole situation with, the rumors about Brady and, all these.
Aaron Rodgers being available.
Aaron Rodgers,
Lamar Jackson wanted to play here.
Yeah. So I
Do
think
you personally want him back as your quarterback? And let's say he's healthy. Let's say we can't promise you 17 games, but let's say he could give you 13 to 15 games next season where he misses a couple of games, but he plays the majority of the season. Do you want him back as your starting quarterback next year?
Yes, I do.
In all fairness,
I do.
So do I. Danny,
I
we
do.
may be stupid, but if you could give me a healthy Tua,
if healthy, yeah,
right. If
exactly.
you could give me and I know, Danny, stop shaking your head. I know what you're going to say. It's impossible to say that based on his track record and the fact that he plays quarterback and he's small. I get it. Shut the fuck up. What I'm saying is hypothetical. If you could guarantee me 13 to 15 games that he's available, I kind of want him back as my starting quarterback as well. Now, we're not moving to the other options. I'm just saying, Danny, you as an outsider, you get a healthy Tua. Is it smart in your mind to bring him back as a starting quarterback? By the way, he's still in a rookie contract.
Yes. No. You bring him back. I'm still going to say the same thing I said about Xavier Howard.
Okay.
I don't think you take that risk on just having him on the team, because if you're counting him as your starter, you might be throwing away another season. And when I say throwing away another season, you have some good players on this team. You have Bradley Chubb. You have Jalen Phillips. You have
Christian Wilkins,
Tyreek Hill. You
Javon
have Christian Wilkins. You have Jalen. You have these. You have a good team. So this good team has the potential for a playoff run. But if you're going to put it all on Tua's shoulders, do you really feel comfortable putting it on Tua's shoulders? I know you say if he's healthy, but are you willing to risk a whole nother year on if he's healthy?
Oh.
Well, we could get into the second part now. We can get into the second part. So
that's such a tough one.
Right. So, Danny, here's my follow-up question to you, and I'll start with you now.
All right.
Yes. If Tua's healthy, I want him back.
Right.
But as of right
he's
now,
coming back regardless.
Yes, I also think he's coming. But here's my caveat to that point that you just said, that you think he's coming back regardless. Yeah, he may be in the building. But, Danny, some of these names that are being thrown around, if they end up in Miami, Tua's not in the building anymore. Because I can promise you right now, as much as you may like Tua's not going to sit behind Tom Brady. Tua's not going to sit behind. No, he won't. No, he won't.
Yes, he is.
No, he won't.
Yes,
Stop.
Yes, he is.
You think you can?
I'm sorry. Do you think he could just say, "I want out of here"?
He can.
He won't.
He won't be the first or last quarterback to ask to be traded out.
Who's the last? Who's asking? Aaron Rodgers? You are going to put Tua in the Aaron Rodgers category?
I won't.
I'm sorry, Tua is not getting out. They're not going to trade him.
So you don't think there's any possibility that if you get an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson down here, you don't think he gets traded?
I think Tua. Look, I told you 3 weeks ago. I think Tom Brady's your starter next year.
Yes,
and if Tom Brady's your, so I said that 3 weeks ago. If Tom Brady's your starter, I mean, I understand that this man looks like he's going to play forever, but he's still in his mid to late 40s at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you still have to have an insurance. What better insurance than to have Tua as your backup? Like, at that, he's still on a rookie contract. It's not like you're paying him big money to be a backup.
I just don't see I don't see a scenario, George, and you tell me how you feel. I don't see a scenario where let's say you get Tom Brady. Let's say Tom Brady comes down to Miami, however way that works.
Mhm.
And you tell Tua, hey, by the way, this is your team. Oh, wait, Tom Brady's available? You're basically in the same position that you were when Brian Flores was here, and that whole situation was becoming available. Oh, shit. We might be able to get Tom Brady and Sean Payton down here. It's like, Danny, if Stephen Ross, he has shown while Tony Sparano's here as the head coach, he's trying to get Jim Harbaugh to come be the coach here. I'm just saying, when Stephen Ross gets an opportunity to try to improve the team, listen, leave my field goal kicker, rest in peace, Tony Sparano, alone.
Yeah,
I love
you're
that
right.
guy.
Let me not talk bad about him.
The
man's
shut
not
the
here
hell up.
anymore. Okay.
My point is, I don't see a situation where you tell Tua he's the starting quarterback, George, and then you go and get Tom Brady. You're going to feel slighted some kind of way if you're Tua.
Agree. And I think based off of the track record of Stephen Ross, I think he's going to try to do everything in his power
to win,
to try to bring a championship here. So I think that 100%, if Brady is available or Rodgers, some quarterbacks of that caliber, no matter the age, then he's gonna pretty much tell Tua, hey,
I love you,
but we got this going on. So this is how it's gonna work. You either be backup or we can see what we can do to get you out of here.
We could try to put you in the best position possible, but it won't be in Miami.
This is where I think it's different. If you tell me that they're gonna go up to Tua and be like, hey, Tua, this is the deal. You're gonna be the backup because Gardner Minshew is gonna come be the starter. Then I'm like, I agree. The fuck? Fuck out of here. I'm not back up to Gardner. But if you say,
by the way, don't tell Chris.
We have the greatest player of all time coming, and he's gonna play on the team. We just want you to sit back and learn from him.
Yeah,
like it's different. Like,
and we want to win.
You can't. And we want that too. So I think it's different, man. Look, Tom Brady has played. What's it going on? 23 years now? 24 years?
Yeah.
Who knows better how to stay healthy than Tom Brady? Not just his body, but how to avoid hits. Like, there's so many things that outside of just how to throw a ball that he can teach Tua. Like, I think it would be a plus all the way around. And I think that Tua would be more accepting to the situation because it's Tom Brady than any other way. Now, if you tell him that Lamar Jackson's coming, then I think that's different. If you tell him, Derek Carr is coming.
Yeah.
If he's coming, then that's different.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady, I'm sorry. I think that he's like, all right, bet I'll be the backup. It's fine.
All right. So let me ask you a question, and then I'll follow it up.
I would be the same way.
Yeah.
For real.
And
look, if Manny tells me like, hey, I know that you started the whole Battered Fans thing, but I got Joy Taylor to be the co-host, be like, all right, I get it. I get it.
Shout out to Joy Taylor.
I'll be the backup.
Yeah.
You let me know when you need me, man.
Call me when you need me. Daddy will be like, you could just keep me in the offline. I'll just look at her the whole entire time. So let me ask you a question. You already said you were on the record. You came out of left field that you said, I predict that next year Tom Brady's a starting quarterback. Let's take Tom Brady out of the equation for a second, because technically he's the only one that's a free agent out of the quarterbacks that are potentially available. Tua Tagovailoa versus Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, you're going to take Aaron Rodgers, right? 100%. Yes, you, Danny. Yes, Danny. Yes.
Yeah, of course. Oh,
all right.
I thought you were talking about George/1.
Tua versus Lamar Jackson. You taking Tua or you taking Lamar Jackson?
I'm taking Tua.
Derek Carr versus Tua. Who you taking? And I know why you're pausing. But I want to hear you say it. Tua versus Derek Carr. Who you taking?
I don't know if you know why I'm pausing, but only because Carr doesn't have the injury history that Tua does. Yeah. I think I might go Carr. But if I can 100%, obviously you can't. But if there was 100% guarantee that Tua would stay healthy, I'd go Tua. But because of the injury history, I'd go Carr.
Okay. I think what's going to cost you the less, George, and you tell me, out of all these names that they keep swinging around, remember, you have free agent quarterbacks as well that if you are going to keep Tua, you could bring in a Gardner Minshew. I mean, you could have him battle it out with Tua for the starting quarterback position next season. There's lower level tier names that could come in and actually give him some potential competition that Teddy Bridgewater obviously could not give him competition. Skylar Thompson, like you said, Denny, we probably found our backup quarterback, but he's not going to push Tua to be the starter for this team.
No.
But George, if you have a Lamar Jackson, if you have an Aaron Rodgers, if you have a Derek Carr potentially available to you, are you taking Tua or are you taking any of those other quarterbacks?
Aaron Rodgers would be probably the only one that I would say I would go over.
That would be your Angela White. That would be your Angela White,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Not Tom Brady?
No. Tom Brady, yes.
Remember,
he said Tom Brady's out.
Okay.
Tom Brady's out.
The other ones are tradable. Remember, the other ones are tradable. Tom Brady's the only free agent on this list.
You're right.
Tom Brady's Luna Star.
Yeah, exactly.
So
let me ask you a question.
She's the GOAT.
Like I mentioned, George, all these other ones are going to take you trading draft capital. We just traded a farmhouse with every single chicken, cow, and horse for Tyreek Hill in last year's draft. Would you trade the farm for potentially a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that could only potentially maybe give you 2 more years? Like he could potentially play up to 46. Doesn't mean he's going to play Tom Brady-ness up to the age of 46. So would you mortgage the franchise right now to go get Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
I would too.
I would
too. You want to know why?
I would.
I'm going to go back to Danny's point. Danny said that we have so much young talent and playmakers on this team now that I feel that you are that one piece away. And if you go get somebody of the talent of Aaron Rodgers, you got to go get somebody of the talent of Aaron Rodgers.
I agree.
But I don't feel that way about Lamar Jackson. So let me go there real quick.
Me neither.
You and I have agreed with Lamar Jackson the whole entire time. Yeah, he's a fucking playmaker. But I personally feel that he's that. You put him in this system, you're going to be back to using your legs. Receivers aren't going to want to play with him because they're not getting the ball often enough. And probably if Mike Gesicki's still here, he'll probably be the MVP of the team because he only knows how to throw the ball to tight ends. So are you mortgaging your future for any of those other quarterbacks, or is it only Aaron Rodgers that you would mortgage your future for? If you were in that position. No, that's you. George already said yes.
Yeah.
Said yes, and I agree with him. Look, he's spacing out on us. Right now.
I know.
No, I'm not spacing out. I thought that he only answered for
no. Well,
for Aaron Rodgers. All right. I wouldn't mortgage the future just because I have Tua as my backup.
Okay.
So I think that if you mortgage the future just for one, like if it's Derek Carr, I mean, there you have a quarterback for a few years.
Correct.
Lamar Jackson, you have a quarterback for a few years. When you
do
the Aaron Rodgers thing,
season, that guy gets injured too, bro.
Lamar Jackson's only missed 5 games last year, and then that's because probably he wanted to save his ass from getting re-injured for a contract. But he missed 5 games and then 5 years the year before. But he's played 12 games minimum every year. That's besides the point. He's played just about the same as Tua.
Right. That's why I wouldn't mortgage my future for him because he's played the same games as
right.
Tua.
But like I said, but like Derek Carr, he has a future. But Aaron Rodgers, that just puts so much pressure on your team to win right now.
Yeah.
And then if you don't, you're screwed for the next few years. With that said, I'd do it, yes.
Yeah, I do it as well. I'm sorry. Like you can say all that negative Nancy bullshit about it, but you tell me I got to give up this year's first. I got to give up next year's first. Another couple mid-rounders. Yeah, here, take it. You're giving me Aaron Rodgers? Take it.
Done.
Because Aaron Rodgers.
You're all in at that point.
Yeah.
You're the LA Rams.
Yes.
That's it.
And I'll take it. To be able to be in that stage and cry like certain Dolphin fans did when we made the playoffs this year. I will gladly cry to go out there and watch my team in a Dolphins parade. I'm sorry. I would mortgage my, and I might be in the minority. I don't care. I don't
think so. But again, that's what sucks because you put yourself in the LA Rams situation.
Yeah.
It worked out for them because they won it all.
Yeah.
But look what happened immediately afterwards.
Yeah,
they look like shit, and they have no assets, so they're gonna be looking like shit for the next couple of years.
So
McVay even said, like, "I'm out."
That's kind of like our Florida Marlins, or
fair enough. Yeah,
Miami
right.
Marlins.
There you go.
They get together, they bring all these players in, we win the World Series, and then very next day they're like, "Hey, here you go."
I don't watch baseball, by the way. I don't watch any of the sport, but
that's a great example, though, Manny. Would you want to be the Florida Marlins? That's when they won it. They didn't win it as the Miami Marlins.
When you
want
put
to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
Florida
yeah.
Marlins?
That's why. Yeah. You know what? Right
Would
now,
you? Would
yes. Right now, yes.
For
Right
me,
now, yes.
For
Even though
me,
the last
I'd have to think
20
about
years
it.
have been like shit.
Well, that our last 20 years have been shit.
That's
You're right.
why.
You're right. You're right.
But
You're right.
that's why I would. That's why I
That's
would
why I would do
want
it.
to, because at least let's just say, look into the future. We get Tom Brady. We get Aaron Rodgers. We get one of them too.
Yeah.
We go all the way. We win the Super Bowl. We're the greatest team.
And now you're gonna give me 20 years of shit? Fuck it.
And then you're gonna give me 20 years of shit. But let me win this one.
You're right. Well, all right. So hypothetically, let's play a hypothetical game, right?
Let's go.
I know we're coming to an end, but let's play that
Yeah,
hypothetical
let's
game.
do it.
Let's say you get Aaron Rodgers for 2 years, right?
Yep.
You mortgage your future, and you got 2 Super Bowl appearances, but you lost both. Was it worth it? You made it to the Super Bowl twice, but you lost. So you made it pretty fucking far. You had 2 really fun seasons.
Yes.
I would say yes. For me, I think for me, yes. As a fan, yes.
Because you're playing that meaningful football, man. Like,
but for 2 years only.
I get it, but Danny, we've been playing 20 years of non-meaningless football.
Exactly.
We have a 1-15 season under our belt in the last 20 years. So if you're telling me I have to go through another 1-15 season and build it right back up so we could be a mediocre 9-8 team, 10-7 team for like we've been for the last 10 years, Danny, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I agree with you guys because I think the NFL is the only league where you can go through that, but unless you're the Jets, usually you rebuild within the next 4 or 5 years, and you're back in the playoffs because the parity in the NFL is amazing. Yeah. Like outside of the Jets, I think every team has been in the playoffs over the last 10 years or so. So I think
have the Lions?
Yes.
Even the Lions have been in the playoffs?
I'm pretty sure they have. I'll check right now. But what I was going to say is that even with that, Lions last, you go and you like the Rams. They're right now. We're like, wow, they're in a horrible position. They're going to be horrible for a
they just
long
won the Super
time.
Bowl. Yeah.
They just won the Super Bowl. It's 2023 now. I bet you in 2025 or 26, they're back. If not in the playoffs, they're back in the hunt. That's the beauty of the NFL. It's not like the NBA where when you become bad in the NBA, I'm sorry, you're gonna be bad for like a decade at least.
I want to say this, and if I can't have an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady, let's just say that. If I have to pick between Tua and those two guys, because of the fact that I can't promise that Tua is going to stay healthy, I'm taking a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, right, George?
Yes.
Out of the other options that I would trade for, I wouldn't trade for Derek Carr and I wouldn't trade for Lamar Jackson. I would, if we're not going to get Tom Brady's or Aaron Rodgers, I have to bring in a Gardner Minshew. I have to bring up a tier C quarterback or a tier B quarterback, I should say, to compete for that starting position and just give Tua that kind of push where he's like, fuck, I got to be on top of my shit. But ultimately, what I would want as a fan is to kind of be in the position where the Philadelphia Eagles are right now. They were just in the Super Bowl a few years back, and they're literally on the cusp again of making it into the Super Bowl.
No, what you want to be is the Niners. The Niners been in the
Super Bowl. They've been on a roll. But what I'm saying is they fired their coach, Danny. They got rid of their starting quarterback, and here they are back on the cusp again, about to make the Super Bowl again. Yes, we all want to be the San Francisco 49ers, but in a perfect world, they basically have only tweaked they obviously drafted another quarterback. They brought in a coach in Nick Sirianni to basically coach Jalen Hurts up. They added A.J. Brown, but more than enough, most of that team is basically intact. I think we're in that same position where if we give this team another season to gel and we play a different defense, I think that we have enough talent on this team that if we keep the core pieces together, we could be as good as the Philadelphia Eagles, even the San Francisco 49ers, if we give it a few years.
Just to go back real quick to what we were talking about a second ago, the Lions in the last 10 years have made the playoffs 3 times. God, I hate being a Jets fan.
Oh, wow. So not even the Jets.
Damn.
Jets.
Jesus Christ. Listen, stop fucking the Jets because we're gonna talk about the Jets here in 15 minutes. But George, what are you gonna do with yourself for the next 6 months, sir? Are you still acting? How many electrician jobs do you have lined up?
Yes.
What are you doing for the next 6 months?
Do you watch any other
working.
sports?
Just working.
He watches the Heat. He watches the Heat.
I watch the Heat. I watch the Heat. Yes, I watch the Heat. I'm not really big on baseball, but
two Cubans,
only championship team.
Cubans that aren't into baseball at all? Just throwing that out there. Not even a little bit.
No, I'm
What
not.
about hockey? Did you get into hockey?
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
At least he watches basketball.
Yeah, I watch. Yeah, I mean, but other
Danny,
than that,
we used to watch basketball together, Danny. Don't act like I didn't watch basketball at one point, but this watered down shit that's going on, I don't care for it. But yeah, what do you got going on for the next 6 months, man?
nothing. So I have a contract with Waste Management, so I do a lot of their, electrical, like when they build transfer stations or when they build like these big buildings, office buildings, stuff like that.
I've seen you run the wiring.
Yeah, I go in there and I do all that. We do their excavation. We do a bunch of stuff for them. So I've been doing a lot of that. Still acting. Yeah, that's about it. I just actually got an award for Hall of Fame. Being in the
Oh, let's go. Let's go. That's fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. I'll ask you one question before we sign out. When your rep calls you later this month to potentially change your seats, are you sticking to where you are, or are you going to try to move up?
If I can move closer, I'll move closer. If not, I'm going to stay where I'm at.
By the way, you're in a perfect spot. If I can have row one on your side, you have that roof coverage at all times, and I'm cooking on the opposite side like a sweaty fat pig in the ground on New Year's Day. Listen, I will gladly swap to your side if row one becomes available over there.
Yeah, no, me too. If I can move up, then I'll move up, like move down the rows. But if not, I like my little spot because it's right there. As soon as you walk out, it's right there to the right. There. So it's like, not even like
in the aisle.
It's not even on the aisle. It's a little bit to the right.
Yeah.
So I love, and it's right there. Those two seats right there in the corner, 19 and 20. I love them. So that's awesome. Yeah, no, I if I can move up, I'll move up. But if not, I'll stay where I'm at.
Does he know about your situation in the first game of the year?
I don't think he does. So how I meant. Well, we'll talk about it off air now. I don't want to bring it up again during a show. Why do you want to do it to me on air? We already talked about it like 4 times with 4 different people. You asshole.
Because I feel like it's a funny story.
All right, it is a funny story. We'll talk about it off air. Ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 20 of the Battered Fins Fan Podcast. I am the Bearded Fanatic, Manny. That is the Battered Jets fan, Danny. And we had the pleasure of having Juan Largo on the show on episode 20. And I'm going to sign out on this. Well, before I sign out, Danny, you got anything else to say before we sign out?
No, fuck the Dolphins.
What? Well, I guess leading it up perfectly, it was a perfect time to have you on, George, for episode 20.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, boys.